we interrupt this broadcast for an emergency here. So I wanted to show you guys, somewhere in this video you just saw that I had mentioned buying some actual headers. So we got some headers for the Camaro project. Well, we ended up with a couple problems, so I actually wanted to show you guys a couple of things about that though. So here on the driver's side, let me flip this around. So 2, 4, 6, number 6, or the third one back on the driver's side, that tube right there hits the steering column. So even though, like I said, I had the motor mount on that one more bolt hole back right there, I pulled the engine out entirely to move it forward so that the whole engine transmission would, so everything was great until I got the headers and decided to move everything back. Plus with the new oil pan, new pickup tube, everything, it was better to just go ahead, pull the motor out, do what I needed to do, and get, again, the issue is that everything was great until I decided to put headers on it. And I'm sure you've seen in one of the other videos, me and my friend Jamie were screwing around and tried to weld down pipes on factory manifolds, which worked out great. But I wanted to go with a nice pair of headers. They were cheap. They're just a great deal. Couldn't pass it up. Get them on there, and the only thing stopping me was that it was hitting the steering column. So got to move the motor mounts forward for that, because the way I got it measured out, how much it's hitting and where it's hitting, I wasn't going to do what some of the old guys do and just beat that corner edge in with a hammer and make it fit. I'm not doing that. I want it all to sit in there right. So the best way to do that, so that right there on the steering column is what was hitting that tube. So right there, right in line with my finger, that's where it was hitting. But where I measured is, if I was able to get down and back like a ½ inch, it wouldn't be touching. Well, I'm going to take these lower motor mounts back out, and now that I have an actual 98 to 2000 Camaro or Trans Am oil pan, I can take those spacers out, still not have to cut the frame, and everything will work out again. So in the end, a lot of that work was a waste. But on the other side, looking at the engine and what I got going on here, and doing the oil pan and the pickup tube, the little bolt that the 10mm bolt goes onto for the oil pump stripped. So I took that as a sign, and instead of trying to fix it or do anything like that, screw it, we're just going to put a new oil pump on it. So new oil pump, new pickup tube, new oil pan, and we'll be back in business again. So again, move that forward. So when you're doing these, if you're going to do the 98 to 02 Z28 or Trans Am oil pan, you do have to move, and you use that style of motor mount bracket so that you can adjust it. One of these, you will have to have that all the way forward, especially if you're going to have headers. Actually, you don't have to have it all the way forward if you're not going to use headers, but most of us are using headers, and honestly, for sound purposes of the car and just performance wise, it's worth it to have the headers. So you might as well, when you're doing this, just throw your clamshell motor mount on all the way to the front and be happy with where it sits. What you may have noticed compared to what some of the other videos is so I ordered a hose. This hose is for a 98 to 02 Camaro Trans Am. I did have to put my own bend in it right here so that it didn't hit anything, but I wanted you to know that I got this bracket is from a 2000. This bracket here is from a 2000 Corvette. This is just from the local auto parts store, along with the reservoir, and the hose is just from my local AutoZone store. And then we got the alternator that'll go on right there. So far that's where we're at, but I had to breaking news interrupt this video to point that out. Back to our regularly scheduled program.